Skunigas. Hello, David. And yeah, I'm very excited to be in part of the
Reads podcast. She's Tuscarora Mohawk poet, owner of the Ojito Publishing from Six Nations Grand River. And Janet has tons of experience, a poet laureate in British Columbia. She's lived across Canada, and at this ripe age of a very, very young elder, has so much that she can share with us. So if I can very, very quickly say to Janet, good morning. And Janet, there you are.
Yeah, Skunigas. Hello, David. And yeah, I'm very excited to be in part of this video series that's going to be focused on all Indigenous books and the authors. And we'll get a chance to get to meet the authors and learn more about those books. And there's nothing that I love more than talking about story. And as you have mentioned, being the winter time, it is the absolutely most appropriate time to focus in on story, as is traditionally known winter to be the storytelling time. So I'm very excited about all of that. My name is Janet Rogers, and I am a Mohawk Tuscarora, as you said, living on Six Nations territory of the Grand River. And I am a poet, and I am the current McMaster University and Hamilton Public Library writer in residence currently until April of 2021. What I have done in the past, I guess, to kind of introduce myself as being eligible to be this host, is I have over 10 years experience of in radio as a host and as a media producer. And so I'm really, really glad to have the opportunity where I get to kind of double down on those joys and those passions that I have in my life as a media producer and as a writer and a person who loves to talk about stories so much. But what we're going to start with in this episode is we are focused on the 13 moons, which you can see in the background here. I'm going to show you the top of the turtle, and kind of basing the way that we're going to progress through this video series is to introduce the moons that are affiliated with the shells of the turtle's back, and what they represent in terms of the moons, but also what they represent and are associated with in terms of nature and times of year and the seasons and so on and so forth. But yeah, when we're thinking about, again, the origin stories in relation to the turtle and talking about the calendar that exists with the turtle, for Haudenosaunee people, I know that a lot of the calendar teachings have to do with the seasons in relation to agriculture, us being agricultural people.
Of course.
And so, of course, we are paying very close attention to what the moon is doing, what the season is doing, how do we have that relationship with the season, and how do we conduct ourselves in relation to the seasons and the growing seasons. And then that spills over into what we do in terms of ceremony. So right now is winter, and it's Longhouse season. And so we have Longhouse ceremony taking place right now, as a matter of fact. And we know that because of maybe there's less people around in the community because they're inside doing ceremony. And what Longhouse ceremony really, in a nutshell, if I could say this, and hopefully I'm not going to offend anyone, is that Longhouse ceremony really is based in gratitude. Everything we do is based in gratitude. Gratitude for what we have, gratitude for what we have survived, and gratitude of what is yet to be. And so I like that we can follow along on the turtle in terms of the calendar and know what we're supposed to do during each of those moons. And not only just in storytelling, but also as people, as cultural people.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, you go right ahead and tell us.
I was going to start with the elder moon, the Gitche-Geeze's moon, which is the elder moon. And I am turning 58, coming into my junior elderdom, as you have made reference to, being an auntie, a literary auntie, to be sure. I love to, again, see the circle of writers grow. And this is also another wonderful part that goodminds.com is playing in the role as hosts of this video series. But we're concentrating on the turtle because we have a Sky Woman. Sky Woman is part of our origin story, and when she falls through the hole in the sky world, she was expecting. And I'm just really going to give you like a Reader's Digest version of our origin story, because it can go on and on and on. But as an expectant mother, Sky Woman had some cravings, and she had these cravings for the roots of the tree of peace up in the sky world. But she was told never to dig in under that tree to get those roots. Bad things would happen. And but her cravings were so strong. And so she did eventually start to dig under the tree in the sky world to get to those roots. And there's a little bit of, variations within this story, but some people say that because she disobeyed what her husband had told her not to, telling her not to dig, that he became angry with her and pushed her through the hole in the sky. But some people say that she simply lost her balance and she fell through the hole in the sky. And that hole being underneath that tree as she was digging to get to the roots. But as she was falling through the hole, she was grabbing onto the branches and the roots and everything else that she could in a desperate attempt to help herself from falling. But as it was, she started to fall through the sky, and it was the winged creatures, the geese, who had seen this woman falling, and they said, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? There's a woman falling through the sky. I think we should give her a hand." And so they spread their broad wings and they helped to suspend her and to slow her fall through the sky. And they shouted to the creatures below, to a world which was only a water world at the time. There was no land. And as they shouted down, they said, "We have a woman here, and we really think you should give us a hand." And so the water creatures below, they said, "Okay, let's see what we can do." And they rallied, and the turtle provided his back, and the water creature said, "Okay, it's going to take a turn and dive to the seabed to see if we can bring up some of that mud to put on the turtle's back." And every creature that made an attempt perished, because the seabed was really quite far down and they couldn't hold their breath long enough, until it was Muskrat. And he held his little breath as long as he could, and he took a deep, deep dive into the bottom of the sea. And he was able, in his little muskrat hand, to bring up a tiny bit of mud, which he then put on the turtle's back. And they said, "Okay, we're ready. You can bring her down now." And so the geese were slowly and gently bringing Sky Woman down onto the turtle's back. And she was so relieved and so happy to have a safe place to land that she started to do the Haudenosaunee woman's dance, the shuffle dance. And so she shuffled around on the back of that turtle on that little bit of piece of mud. And as she was dancing, that earth grew, and it grew and grew and grew into the shape that we know it to be now, which is North America. And that's
Turtle
why we
Island.
want it to be called Turtle Island. And from there, then the vegetation started to grow. She gave birth to her daughter, and her daughter then became impregnated by the west wind. And like I said, it goes on and on and on. But so that's the other part that the turtle plays in this story and in this video series is we are looking at the turtle as our calendar. So that will progress us through the 13 moons, and it follows a 28-day cycle. As we know, as North Americans, we follow a 31-day cycle. But originally we were working with a 28-day moon cycle. And that, of course, references the woman's cycle, menstrual cycle as well.
The other thing I really enjoy, Janet, is knowing that when I'm able to talk, especially to children, I always say to children, do you know why we call her Mother Earth? Because kids, you come from her. I come from her. Everyone comes from her. If she weren't there, I wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be here. And when you die, you go back to her. She gives you life, which is why we say Mother Earth. And when I was born, I needed air that I took from my father, the sky. So I say Mother Earth, Father Sky, who gets his energy from his grandfather, from his father, my grandfather, the sun. Mother Earth, Father Sky, grandfather, sun, grandmother, moon. And people can relate to that. So the significance of the turtle's back and everything that it represents and has been there for so long, including your creation story.
Yeah. It's a universal worldview for sure. Yeah, we understand that. So, and that helps us to kind of walk in a better way, on the earth as well, if you have that understanding. That
no kidding.
These origin stories, yeah. So, and whenever I introduce an origin story in classrooms, I always say, do you know your origin story? Because everybody has got an origin story. Every culture has an origin story. And so I really encourage other people to discover what their origin stories are. And again, when you have that, that's yours. That's your birthright. And so it's yours to carry with you. And it kind of really helps ground you. It really helps with your self-awareness. And we have a saying. I'm not a Kainai speaker, but I know a saying in our language that refers to all of our fires are connected. And so, there's Haudenosaunee people here on Six Nations and Kahnawake, Akwesasne, Tuscarora, New York, Allegheny. There's Mohawk people all over the place.
And we are all related. Applies to that.
We are related by our fire.
I don't know about you, Jem, but I think it's an amazing concept that you'll be able to introduce Indigenous writers, illustrators, literary people to an audience that want to know more and can learn through that.
It's and as a person who comes from a radio background, I am so excited about what we're seeing coming out of our communities in terms of music and in terms of literature, because both in all of the arts, things are exploding and we're absolutely spoiled for choice anymore, And it really, within this lifetime, we've seen that the population of those people who work in the arts and literature in particular really just blossom into a huge library of people and the books that they produce. What I've done since I've been home is, and again, as you're saying, everyone is online now. And that seemed to have helped the launch of the publishing label and then the production of the new book. So this is my 7th poetry book published, and I produced this one on the label as almost like an experiment to see how I could do with the label before I bring other writers in. But on that end, I am bringing a new writer in, and we're
learn from these 13 squares?
Il y a tellement à apprendre au sujet de ces 13 carrés.
These 13 moons that you see here, so much to learn from these 13 squares.
Il y a tellement à apprendre au sujet de ces 13 carrés.
These 13 moons that you see here.
Ces 13 lunes que vous voyez ici.
And these 28 days, these tiny little squares that are all around the outer ring of the turtle.
Et ces 28 jours, ces 28 carrés qui sont tout autour de la tortue.
So let's say for you got a calendar, it's got 12 pages on it. It's got 12 months.
Donc pour vous, votre calendrier, il y a 12 pages, 12 mois.
We have one thing. It's got one page, and it has the 13 moons on that one page.
Nous avons une chose, c'est comme une page, et on a tout sur ça.
And it has the 28 days of the moon.
On a les 28 jours de la lune et les 13 lunes.
So it's a calendar in that sense, but it is also a map of the universe.
Donc c'est un calendrier en ce sens, mais c'est également une carte de l'univers.
It tells you the directions of up and down, left and right.
Ça nous dit les directions de en haut, en bas, la gauche et la droite.
I left out forward and backwards.
Et en avant et en arrière.
But it centers you in knowing what moon we're in, what ceremony we are in.
Mais ça vous centre parce que ça vous dit quelle lune vous êtes et quel jour de la lune vous êtes également.
So as long as you know how to read the turtle rattle, the turtle's back, you will know what ceremony you have to carry out. You will know exactly what you have to do.
Et en pouvant lire cette carapace de tortue, vous allez exactement savoir quelle cérémonie vous devez faire.
And it also shows you some, there are also some hidden things on here that you cannot see.
Ça vous montre également des choses qui sont cachées, que vous ne voyez pas.
That it, things that only a person who uses the turtle rattle, who knows of the ceremonial process of the 13 moons and all of that, blah, 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 only that person can see these hidden things that are in here that you cannot see. You cannot see it. It's not there for your naked eye.
Listen when the chud, chud, chud blends with you. You are the rhythm. You are the rattle. Your song is waking you. Our shaking song, sound, unifying universal rhythms, not physical or mental, heaving, beating, storytelling, completing chapters. You are drinking soup berry of the juice. You are reliving sadness of emotional consequence. You are collecting all the lost pieces and adding them together. Soon there is more, a crescendo. Sound, songs swelling. You are the corn. You are the broken stones. Thank you very much.
Janet, I was very, very impressed.
Thank you. I'll just share one more. This is Brave Enough for Books, and we're going to be brave enough to talk about all the books that are coming in the coming moons here. Brave Enough for Books. These pages
delivery plus
cannot
so
be deleted. They have
From the 16th to the 18th centuries, hundreds of maps depicted a vast region in Asia labeled as Tartaria, or Tartary. By the mid-19th century, however, this label had largely disappeared. Look at this map I purchased from raremaps.com. It's a 1624 map titled Places of the East Occurring in the Holy Scriptures, Martyrology, and Other Histories. The map shows the route of Abraham from Ur to Shechem, the wandering of the children of Israel, and the pyramids of Egypt. But most important to this video is Tartaria is labeled, with several depictions of its inhabitants. This map wasn't just created by anyone. It's by Abraham Ortelius, the creator of the first true modern atlas. Other respected cartographers of the time also included Tartaria on their maps. So surely it wasn't just made up. But where did Tartaria go? Who were its inhabitants? And could this be traces of a lost empire?